prophecies of a flood and a mighty war coming between superpowers, but these are prophecies by a Yorkshire witch. In North Yorkshire, along the River Nid, one can find the birthplace of Ursula Soutale, better known as Mother Shipton, the seer. She was born in 1488. During her lifetime, she had many premonitions about some of the biggest historical events that took place in England, such as the Great Fire of London and the Spanish Armada. After her death in 1561, aged 73, she remained an important local phenomenon in the hometown of Knaresborough, and the remains of a cave in which she lived, located near the fossil well, can be visited even today. At some point, she started writing down her predictions. Initially, they did not resonate, but some events began to confirm it. As her fame grew, so did belief in her abilities, enabling her to make a living from her prophecies. She died at the age of 73, but the memory of her extraordinary life and powers continued to be talked about long after she was gone. Indeed, an account of Mother Shipton's life and prophecies was published in 1641, 80 years after her death. Ursula Soutale name is surrounded by a vast number of myths, and despite the fact that her time is so far removed from ours, like the verses of Nostradamus, the predictions that Nostradamus made, hers seem to resonate and touch ours today. However, it's something that needs to be checked. Nevertheless, already in the middle of the 19th century, Ursula Soutale, that is Mother Shipton, her prophecies were known, and British second-hand book collectors collected entire regiments of publications from that period. Unfortunately, among the translators of these texts dating back to earlier centuries, there was a huge number of some unsuccessful poets who began not only to translate all these prophecies, but to write them down in verse. This caprice is simply unimaginable. It's like some idiot took a book on mathematical analysis and presented string theory in the form of a poem. That is, all meaning is lost, or almost all. Despite this possibility, it's worth noting some of them here. Wagons will be driven without horses, and disasters will fill the world with sorrow. Iron will float on water, as easy as wooden ships. Well, that has, of course, been fulfilled. Wagons without horses are cars, or even trains, and irons floating on water are, of course, ships. The prophecy is simply amazing if we assume that the text refers to iron ships. And the next, the thoughts of people will fly around the world. There we go. Telephones, internet. The thoughts of people will fly around the world. They will be quick like the blink of an eye. Under the water, people will walk. They will drive, sleep, and even talk. They will see a man in the sky, white, black, and green. Everywhere there will be a roar of monsters with a man at the top. And people will fly like birds. That's the airplanes. And they will throw a horse and a pillow and a plow. We could assume that the above quote about people's thoughts is about radio and internet. Also, submarines and aircraft did not even exist in the 15th and 16th centuries. Next, people will build houses of glass, will be in England. In those wonderful and distant days, women will dress like men and wear pants. They will cut their hair short and ride the horse, as witches do now with a broom. But unfortunately, after this will come the war, which will the pagans and the Turks live. What does that mean? In the year 1926, horrible wars will be planned, and the fire and the sword will scan the earth, when animations will seem alive, when boats like fish will fly under the water, under the sea, when men like birds will pass through the sky, when half the world will drown in blood and die. Here we see that the text attributed to Mother Shipton, or the Yorkshire witch, the Ursula Soutale, even for the 19th century, is prophetic, accurately describing the fashion and architecture of the last century, predicting the appearance of television and even of a war very similar to, relative to World War II. But the most awesome prophetic text is found here below, which probably relates to 1981 or what will come after that, making references to floods and the arrival of a certain fiery dragon from heaven. The world will end in 1881. Those who survive the age, they will be in shock and awe. Yeah, that says here 1881. Those who survive the age, they will be in shock and awe. Many will flee to the mountains, forests, and hide in swamps. Slowly they will die looking for falling water streams. Many will die of thirst earlier from the oceans that will come out onto the land. A flaming dragon will cross the sky 6 times before this earth dies. Humanity will shake and fear until the 6th traitor in this prophecy. 7 days and 7 nights, one person will watch this amazing spectacle. The slow flows will rise off the coast. They will start crashing, the mountains will rain, and the earthquakes will separate the plains. And floods of water rushing to flood all lands with a roar that will bury humanity in a dirty swamp. And a man shall roar to his brothers. He will bang his teeth and fight and kill. Wars for food supply, walking away in mystery hills. Not every soul on earth will die. As the tail of dragon passes, not every land on the planet will sink, but plants, human and animal bodies, they will fall everywhere. They will rot, fall down, and it will rain. But the land that emerges from the sea, it will be dry, clean and soft, without dirt, and from humanity there will be a source of new species. But before people come back again, will a silver snake arrives. It will start throwing people, which will illuminate the mind of a young person. So this amazing text, which may have been created in the translators and copyists either 19th century, even much earlier, the 15th, 16th centuries, describes in detail almost everything we have come to experience with so-called climate change, but it goes even beyond our today. It's surprising to report a kind of cataclysm after which the few survivors will start battling amongst themselves for the last sources of food in secret hills, that is, for some storehouses that our contemporaries have taken care to build and preserve food. The process probably began, according to the text, somewhere in 1981, but may not have happened then that many people realize, but it certainly has in recent years. But what is the culmination of these moments that seem to directly describe our today in the company of our tomorrow? And then it says there will be 3 great signs to see how many approaches the past century. Kingdoms will make false promises, they will talk just to talk, and they will plan a terrible war. 3 sleeping mountains will gather their breath, and they will fall dirt, ice, and death, and the earthquakes will swallow towns and towns. 2 Christian countries will begin to fight each other. Well, we have Russia and Ukraine doing that now. People will watch, but no one will do anything. Well, that's the same thing here. No peace talks between Ukraine and Russia. Then yellow people got more power. Well, of course, that probably relates to China. From the strong bear with which they were next to, that China, as we know, is next to and allies to the bear Russia. From the strong bear with which they were next to, and then 2 powerful tyrants. They will try to divide the world into 2 parts, but danger will arise from their conflict. This will be a new fever, which will be worse than leprosy itself. Does that relate to some kind of a pandemic? Now, as even the most skeptical of prophecy readers will agree, for the yellow people to receive power from a certain bear, it could not possibly mean anything other than a possible cooperation of China's ever-growing power with Russia in a conflict with perhaps US, resulting in an outbreak of some kind of biological war, which will be worse than leprosy. 3 known volcanoes should also erupt at the same time, which will result in many casualties, and only then will the finale of the show come with the arrival of the fiery dragon and the seeding of a new population of earthlings. Well, we know that even in the apocalypse, there will be the mountain falling into the sea, and also the star falling onto earth from the sky. So these are all prophets in the apocalypse. Now, could this be the turning of events? But let's not forget that the texts of the Yorkshire witch mother Shipton may or may not be authentic. Maybe the translators and copyists added their own contents into the early 19th century. But then again, how easy it would be to fall into at least some things. This I've translated for you from a Greek article. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box.